Hey, this is John Carlos. Now, NECA has made plenty of Freddy Krueger action figures as part of their Nightmare on Elm Street line. But now, for its 30th anniversary, they've released the Ultimate Freddy figure, which comes in some really cool packaging. I like this little photographic piece of artwork on the top. The front opens like so, and this is supposed to be like their best, their coolest, their Ultimate Freddy figure. So let's check this out. There is one considerable improvement that this figure has over any of the previous Freddy figures, and that's that he's got articulated legs. The previous Freddy figure, in fact all of them, had single legs that look like this. And the problem with legs like this is if the feet are bent or wonky in any way, then you're kind of screwed when it comes to like getting him to stand unless you have like a figure stand or something to wedge behind his feet. They always gave you articulated arms and stuff, but now we actually have a like a top of the leg, like waist joint, you got a knee joint, and you have some pretty good articulation at the feet. These had some basic feet articulation as well, but actually having the knee and the leg is to me is a much better improvement. Because, you know, this is just so limiting. It really is, and this gives you, you know, not only does it make it more of an action figure, but it gives you more options. Now, this figure also comes with a lot of really cool accessories. He starts off with this head, but he comes with this alternative head, which actually is the same alternative head that the other Freddy figure came with. You can see it's the exact same head. You can see the sculpt of it in the brows and the smile, but this new version is painted with more detail. You could see, like, around his eyebrow area, that it's kind of lighter and then darker on the forehead. More colors being used, more shading is being used compared to this original basic skin palette of just like one basic tone and some kind of darker highlights. This has like highlights and lowlights, and I really like what they've done with it. I especially like the kind of wet, meaty areas on his cheek. I think his teeth look gross. It's a good sculpt with a much improved paint job, so I dig that. He also comes with this other alternate head, which is what that first figure came with as well. So far you're getting stuff that you may have already got with that first Freddy figure from A Nightmare on Elm Street 1. But the paint on this is really good and really gross. I think they did a great job with this. It also comes with this dead skin mask. And not only does the dead skin mask look good, and the like the skin highlights read well on the cheeks, but it actually does kind of like fit on to the face rather well. Like you can see the sculpt in there and how it kind of fits onto Freddy's face. So that's cool. This is one of the cooler accessories. It comes with the phone. Particularly the phone when Nancy's on it and Freddy's tongue comes out. And I love the fact that the tongue's painted well and that they got the gross kind of Freddy skin around the edge there. I think this is an awesome, awesome accessory. And then also you've got his alternate hand for when he slices his fingers off and the blood comes out. I think this is really, really cool. Reminds me of that old N.E.C.A figure that they did of Freddy, which I thought was a little too cartoony. I always liked NECA's and McFarlane's more, so I'm glad that NECA's finally got around to this accessory, because that was one of the few advantages N.E.C.A had, was they included that hand. Lastly, here's Freddy's hat, which I wouldn't even really call an accessory. It's more of a basic necessity that has to go on the Freddy figure. Now, one problem my figure has is it has a tendency to want to fall backwards, because even though he's got all this great leg articulation, he doesn't have much in the way of foot articulation. See, the edge of his pants really stop his shoes from coming that far up. So when he wants to lean back, I can't really lean him that far forward to kind of counterbalance that. So I do have to lean him at the waist, you know, and the legs to offset that. It'd be great if I had more articulation freedom from the pants in the front if it wasn't so limiting. That being said, I do like this figure a lot. I mean, if you've seen any of the previous Freddy figures, then you're probably already aware of his shoulder and arm articulation. You've already seen how good the sculpt is. I like they included the movie 1 sweater, which actually had red sleeves and not red striped. Green, you know, and red sleeves. But you can see here, like, according to these sculpted lines, that the green should probably be following that, like on this figure, and it's not. It's kind of doing its own thing, and that's kind of a bummer. It's a little bit off. But I love the sculpt of the off-centerness of the sweater, because Freddy did have kind of like this weird little hunch. He had, when they were filming, that glove was so heavy that he kind of leaned to one side. So I like they sculpted that lean into the figure. I like that there's a dirty kind of wash to it all. It does read like a dirty, gross sweater. And I like the articulation on this figure. I like the sculpt of it, don't get me wrong, but the articulation on the legs is pretty good, except this leg is really, really loose. like that. So getting him to stand, I'm having some problems sometimes. He wants to do the splits. So that's a little bit annoying. I kind of wish, you know, even though they add articulation, it's not quite perfect for me. But there is some great work being done, especially on the glove. I think they handled the glove really, really well. I think it looks great. So let's go ahead and try to see if we have any problems popping his head off and putting on an alternate one. I had a hard time getting that head on. It was actually a really, really tight hole. So I put the original head back on because I actually like the one that it's packaged with better. And also the one that it's packaged with actually has a looser hole. But this hand fit on pretty good, and I think it's a really, really cool effect. I expected to rave about this figure more, and don't get me wrong, I do like it. I think it's really cool. I do think it's a mild improvement over the previous one. I think some of the accessories are really cool. But the fact that he has a tendency to want to lean forward, and that by having to put his weight forward, I can't ever pose him like kind of leaning back in a more like commanding position. It's kind of a bummer. Like I'm forced to always have him kind of lean down a bit. And that's a big drawback for me, despite all the improvements. Also, this previous version came with 2 alternate arms. As you can see, I used the alternate arms from that one scene where he's got his arms stretched and he's scratching down the alley. Every figure in the series came with 2 heads and some kind of accessory. And this is one of the rare figures that came with alternate arms, and I thought if this was going to be the ultimate Freddy from A Nightmare on Elm Street, they should have included those alternate arms too. Then it would be truly ultimate with like everything you could ever want. It does come with a total of 3 heads instead of 2, and it does come with a lot of accessories, so that does count as making it a very cool step up. But you know, I really did truly expect to come in here with a rave review, and instead it's a mild thumbs up. Thanks for watching.